All right, so let's move on to Bubba Wallace and Larson. A little shoving match on the front straightaway right in front of everybody and a national television audience on Big NBC. A very public experience. So, I think that the public opinion is that, they're racing through the corner. Larson's getting loose. Coming up the racetrack, he kind of makes things tight off the corner, squeezes Bubba a little bit. I'd be pissed off if that was me driving Bubba's car off the corner like that and the guy's in your door. Larson did make it 3 wide on the inside down into 3 and shallowed up the entry and lost the car and drifted up the racetrack. They hit the wall. It's the popular opinion is that Bubba steered down the racetrack, jumped in the throttle, and hit Larson in the right rear quarter panel. I think it's basically at this point not NASCAR's position to dive through the data and find intent. I think it's more of really Bubba's position to provide the data that proves that there was no intent. I mean, to me, it looks like it was pretty obvious, I guess is my point, that Bubba tried to take him out.
And if he's saying he didn't, he needs to prove why he didn't, is what you're saying, right?
Bubba's saying exactly what he needs to say and not admit it, right? That was Byron's mistake. But I think everybody, for the most part, is pretty sure that was an intentional clip of the right rear quarter panel that sends the 5 car into the wall, takes the 20 car out. Bubba gets out of the car, walks down the apron, and then there's the shoving match between the two. Anyways, my position on this, I think NASCAR is going to look at it the same way and look at it through the same lens as they looked at the Gragson incident, as they looked at the Byron incident. The Byron and Gragson incident were different, but I think it's probably a little more similar with what Noah did at Road America in terms of wrecking Sage Karam on the straightaway. Took out a lot of cars. I think that Noah got 30 points, 35 grand. Byron's was adjusted to no points, 100 grand. But I could see this since NASCAR went and changed the rules. They changed the wording in the rule book post the Byron incident. So once Byron wins the appeal, NASCAR goes into the rule book. There was a line in the rule book that said when somebody wrecks somebody on purpose, there could be points and or a fine. They took the or out. So now it's points and a fine. That's the way it reads. And that's how they won the appeal, was that and or. And so NASCAR's adjusted that line in there so that there will be a points component to the next penalty given to a driver for doing something like that, right? Wrecking somebody on purpose. I think if I had to guess, it's going to be 100 points, 100 owner points, 100 driver points, and $100,000. Could be a little more on the monetary side because of the speed of the going 150 miles an hour and having that intentional crash, a little higher speed. I could see them maybe going a little higher. There was also the issue with Bubba getting out of his car and walking down the apron. I think that NASCAR made a rule a year or two ago about getting out of your car and walking down the racetrack or walking anywhere, going away.
Being on the racetrack.
I don't know. I don't know if it's being on the track, just leaving your car, right, after a crash. I don't know I can't remember exactly what the rule was. I was kind of digging for that, but couldn't find it. They may have a problem with that. I don't know if they'll do anything. I think, for some reason, I want to think Chase Elliott did it, got out of his car. Was it at Darlington when he got wrecked by
Kyle Busch?
Kyle Busch, he got out of his car. They made a rule.
Yeah, I don't know the exact rule, but you're right.
You have to be escorted by an AMR safety person into the ambulance if you're not able to drive your car back into the pit area, and he was not having it.
Right, and so they may look at that and have a problem with that. I don't know if they did anything with Chase, and they might not do anything on that type. I'm saying, will there be a monetary issue with that? I don't know. But anyways, that's kind of the way I look at it. The detail that NASCAR has about what Bubba did with his steering throttle and all those things will be massively detailed, way more than we were able to show you on television. And so they'll have a lot of information to be able to make their decision on the intent in that moment. And I feel like with the information they'll have, they'll be confident on what they decide. And so that's why I feel like it'll be more about what Bubba can bring to the table in terms of evidence that, hey, man, there wasn't any intent. That'll be whether I think that it'll be easy for NASCAR to prove their case, and it'll be up to Bubba whether he has anything to be able to bring to the table and saying, hey, man, this is part of the car that was broken, that didn't allow me to steer the car correctly or whatever. So it remains to be seen on what really comes from that, but I think it'll be handled very similarly to Noah's issue at Road America, and that'll be the end of it.
Important to note is we're taping this on Monday. Probably by the time the podcast comes out, which will be Tuesday evening, we'll probably know this, right? Yeah. I mean, like that's when they would announce it usually.
That's the sucky part about doing this show.
Well,
is that a lot of times, no joke. I mean, a lot of things happen on Tuesday in this sport, and we record before, and the show comes out after we end up finding out what a lot of the information is on terms of penalties and all types of things. So Tuesday is kind of NASCAR's day to release a lot of information and news, it seems like, every week.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I want to ask you about the post-race interview, though, like the exchange with Bubba and Marty. Yeah. Did you have I have an opinion about that. I actually kind of liked it, but did you think anything of it?
Well, the only thing that I thought was interesting is Marty stood, Marty kept fishing.
Yeah.
And so the reason why that's interesting to me is because I'm privy to conversation about what our bosses think about our interviews and the questions we ask, particularly with the pit reporters. So the pit reporters are put in a unique situation where they are the ones that have to stand there in that moment. It's uncomfortable. The driver's mad. He doesn't want to even be there. He knows he's getting ready to have to get asked the question that he doesn't want to get asked, right? This happens in tons of interviews. How many times have we seen Kyle Busch roll his eyes or
at Marty?
Yeah.
Marty seems to be that guy every time, right?
Yeah. So, I've done it, So this is a tough situation for the pit reporter, but he's doing a job. And Marty kept doing his job, and which I found very veteran-like sort of interview from Marty. He's as good as they come. This guy's been a pit reporter the majority of his career, and he's been doing this for as long as I can remember, way back in the early days of my career. And Marty, over the last, not to get off topic here, but Marty over the last couple of years has been doing our pre and post race shows. So Marty has to study really, really hard to do that post race show. You gotta know the whole script.
Yeah.
Right. And so he has to study for that. He has to study for everything he's going to do during the race for his hits on pit road. He has to change in out of costume. He's got to wear a suit and a tie pretty much for the pre and the post, right? And then he's got to jump back into his pit road stuff. This guy works harder than anybody on our talent, right? When it comes to talent, he works harder than anybody. But I don't even remember what Bubba said.
He said, "You're fishing or quit fishing."
Yeah,
That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
Which I kind of liked that moment because it was a driver who wasn't giving us I just hate it for my guys. They just worked so hard. My car was fast. I mean, like he said those things, but he also had a moment of vulnerability and emotion, which is what we expect out of Bubba. So that was vintage Bubba, right? But then I also like the fact that Marty didn't back down from it. Yeah. Marty's like, I'm not fishing. Yeah. I wish Marty would have stayed with the question and made him answer it, but he actually moved on to the next thing, which I thought. But I thought they both had it was a beautiful moment for me because I'm like thinking you got a driver who's really got all the guards down and he's emotional and he's showing it. And I will always appreciate that about Bubba. I agreed with everything you said about the situation, so we're not going to rehash that. But I do appreciate Bubba brings it on the interviews for better or worse. And then I thought Marty showed why he's such a professional by not just letting him get away with it and dictate the next move.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'm here to tell you 3 reasons why I love our sponsor, Tire Pros. Number 1, Tire Pros loves cars as much as I do. Number 2, they have great service. Number 3, they're committed to getting you back out on the road. Plus, they've got this really cool logo.
Dale, that's 4 reasons.
And they have over 600 locations, 24/7 roadside assistance, a great selection, and a best-in-class tire warranty. Tire Pros, love the drive.